we'd like to pass it back to Wes and Rebekah, if you're available. Hopefully you're not still eating. Everybody get enough? Yes. If not, it's your fault. Wes, Rebekah, welcome. Glad to have you tonight.
Thank you.
There we go. Well, hello again. Whoa, that's loud. Yeah. Hello again, guys. Good evening. Well, thank you guys so much, by the way. The Missions Committee in Griswold Street, we really appreciate it for the dinner and all that. And so, yeah, we're very excited to finally tell you guys what we'll be doing overseas. Mm-hmm. So, for the 20th time, my name's Wesley. That's my wife, Rebekah. A little closer. Oh, there we go. I gotcha. And we have a daughter named Reese. She's 1 year old, and we have a baby boy on the way who is due in early March, which we're very excited for. And so we are with an organization called Pioneers, which is based out of Orlando, Florida, and we're going to the Roma people in the country of Croatia. Is it working? I clicked the wrong button. There it is. Perfect.
Okay, so you guys know a little bit about Wesley and his family, but I am from Kissimmee, Florida, so nowhere near here or anywhere cold as here. And that's actually where we live right now when we're not here visiting. But we wanted to tell you guys a little bit about what challenged us to go overseas individually and then together. When I was in high school, everybody asked, when you turn 18, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? Like, you're supposed to know all of it then. And I had no clue. I just knew some interest, and I really enjoyed serving in church. I love being a part of VBS, being a part of kids ministries, just things like that. And on my own, I would have never have thought really any further about that. But some missionaries challenged me, and they said, well, we're coming home on furlough, why don't you go back with us and just see what life is like to do overseas mission work. So I went to Bolivia for a month while I was in high school. And after that, I knew that I wanted to spend some way of my life overseas. I don't know, God really pulled on my heart to do overseas work. I saw the need here and over there as well, and just wanted to be a part of it.
So so you guys heard a little bit about me, and so I'm going to give us a little more detail, though. So I'm from here, born and raised like 10 minutes from here. Grew up in a church all my life. I actually went to Columbus Baptist Church. There I actually was with Eric Dahm and Emily Barrett, now that you guys support as missionaries. So I grew up with them going there. And so I also grew up going to New Life Christian Academy, which I have my former principal, and Miss Bach over there, and I have my music teacher, Mrs. Lane, right here, and then my fourth grade teacher, Miss Evening Red. Back in the day, I don't think they expected me to be standing up here today. So for how I was in school, but Lord willing, I'm glad I'm here. Thank you guys for being here. And so that's how my connections a little bit with Griswold. I remember used to doing my music productions here, up on stage right over there in you guys' sanctuary. I remember goofing around on top of there with the boys in our class. So I know Mrs. Lane really got me. So yeah. And so, so that was a little connection with Griswold. And some of you guys know my grandparents, Charles and Dorothy Wen, who have now passed away to be with the Lord. But they were pretty big impacts in my life as well. And so growing up, what's been really cool is that we used to be part of Awanas over there at Columbus. And during that time, about every other month, we were taught a missionary story from Dorothy Wen. And at the end of every single mission story, she would always sing this song. And it really stuck with me. And the song goes like this. Now, don't worry, I won't sing it to you. I don't have a voice like my mom, all right? So it goes like this, though. There are children all around the world, children just like me, children everywhere on earth, across the land and sea. They need to hear that Jesus died and lives to set him free. So who will go? Who will let them know? Oh, Lord, send me. And then that right there was like, hey, you know what would be so cool one day to go overseas to tell people about the gospel. And so this was in the back of my mind throughout my rest of my life. And so when I graduated high school, I went on my first business trip to the Dominican Republic with cups of cold water, which you guys might have heard on the radio. But that really there just changed opened my eyes to what third world culture is and what missions overseas look like. And I was like, hey, it'd be so cool if I could be a part of that. And so the next couple of years, being a missionary wasn't really my first thing to go over. It wasn't really the first thing on my mind. But like I said, I knew Eric Dahm. And so Eric Dahm was actually a big mentor in my life. And so one night he was like, hey, why don't you come visit Ethnos 360 Bible Institute? And so I was like, why not? I'll get out of the house for a little bit. And I ended up going there, and it's been really cool. And so over there, I was able to study the Bible for 2 years, and that's the reason why I went over in the first place, which is just to study the Bible and get closer to God. But then come to find out that there's still over 7,000 people groups have little to no access to the Bible or Christians at all still in the world today. And I was like, God, are you calling me overseas to go reach the unreached? And I was like 50-50, or should I stay here and be a youth pastor or a pastor here or something with ministry here? I was 50-50, and then I met this girl named Rebekah, and she goes, hey, I'm interested in you, but I'm only going to date a missionary overseas. And I was like, you know what? I guess I'm going to be a missionary overseas. So, so there, Rebekah and I, that's where we met, and we got married within college within those 2 years, and then we came down back to where she's from, Kissimmee, Florida, and that's where we're at right now if we're not traveling. And that's where our home church is at, and that's when we joined Pioneers in 2020, right in the beginning of COVID. So, and then 6 to 7 months later, we found a team, after a lot of praying, in Croatia.
So for those of you that don't know where Croatia is, it is in Eastern Europe, and it's right by Bosnia, right below Hungary, right across from the Adriatic Sea of Italy. And the pictures they played earlier of Croatia are beautiful, and it's gorgeous country, but all of those pictures are on the coast. Go ahead and click it. This is where we will be. So we will be 7 hours from those beautiful pictures. So we will hope to visit those places, but we will actually be living all the way on the other side of the country. We'll be actually right on the border of Bosnia. So when we're there, we actually can see Bosnia every day. We're basically there in Bosnia. And you might be wondering, you keep hearing this term Roma, and half the quiz was about the Roma people. Well, the Roma people is actually who we're going to. They are a completely separate people group from the Croatians, okay? So completely separate. They're about 30 different villages all across Croatia, and they live in segregated communities, also villages is what we call them. And they're also known as gypsies. That's what most people know them by. And there used to be nomads who travel around in caravans, is usually what people get the picture of. But recently they've settled down and they've started to build on government forest. So it's a horrible place for them to be because they're not really wanted anywhere, but they don't have a home. So they just pick a spot, settle down, and that's how a village is created. The village we're going to has a little over 2,000 people, and about a third of them don't have running water or electricity. That's because of them squatting on government land. It's getting better and better, but we're actually going to play a video right after this slide that will give you an idea of what the Roma village looks like, because Wesley took a video when our team member drove around through the village. You'll notice a few things in this picture. You'll notice some really nice houses with electricity, with internet, with landscaping, beautiful homes. And then it just progressively changes. So you'll notice some changes in that. And there are, 2 streets, right? When we go down, I want you to notice something before we play it. When you go down the street, you're going to notice us pass 2 streets and not go to the right of them. That is actually the back village. That would be the part that doesn't have the running water and electricity. The only reason they didn't go down it is because most of the people are outside because they're cooking outside, they do everything outside, and they're very embarrassed of where they live. So it would not be very appropriate for us Americans to go down there and take videos of their homes. So you won't get to see the back village, but you'll get to see everything else.
You're going to have to press play on it if it's working.
We might need the lights dim too for this.
It is not working. Well, that.
Oh no.
Oh no. Huh. Okay. So these are the Roma houses, actually. Yeah, so the Roma houses in our village here.
This is the Roma village, and it has one street in and out, and it's about 3 miles long. We cut the video way down so that way we weren't here all night. It's very large. Hopefully we'll get it to work. This is the only village that speaks Ludari. All the other villages that anybody knows of doesn't speak this language. But there are 30 in Croatia, different villages, but none of them speak Ludari. This village is really unique that way. Hopefully it'll work. No, not yet. Our first language we'll learn is Croatian. Mm-hmm. The Roma people, the Ludari is their heart language, but almost all of them know Croatian. That's how they have to live because everybody speaks Croatian. Ooh, they said a while. Probably at least 3 years is what we can expect. And Ludari will be much harder than that. We start Croatian tutoring courses this December or January. And then we'll do our full-time language learning when we get there. No, when we get to Croatian, hopefully in March. No, May. Yes. Yeah, after Croatian. We had to start with Croatian first. Yeah. Oh no, it doesn't look like it's going to work. Yeah. Oh. Okay, so you want me to talk about this while we're waiting? Okay, so I'll talk about this. Okay, so we'll fast forward the Roma village for right now. Hopefully you guys will get an idea of what it looks like, but if not, this is actually in the front of the Roma village. When we went and visited May 2021, we were there for 5 weeks, and we did all the different ministries the team does, which Wesley will talk about in just a minute. But we did, they do all kinds of kids clubs. They do 5th grade and under, like Bible clubs. What we would do is like our youth group here, very similar type of Bible ministries that they do. Something special, I don't know if you guys do this here, Samaritan's Purse has a shoeboxes for Christmas. Do you guys do that at this church? I see some people saying yes and some they don't know. Okay, you have, okay, so I grew up in a church that did it every year, and I always helped package shoeboxes. Well, when we went there, it was in the middle of COVID, so Samaritan's Purse didn't have enough volunteers. And they said, hey, we have 300 shoeboxes. As long as you'll say, tell the kids the gospel, you can have them. And we're like, yeah, not a problem. Yes, absolutely. So we got these shoeboxes, and we did so many different ways of sharing the gospel. We did, for the little kids, a puppet show. We did a chalk story. We did skits. We did everything. And just passed it out to over 300 kids. We actually made extras so we could reach another village too. But it was so awesome. It was definitely the highlight of the trip for me, but I might have to keep going. I might have to talk this whole time. Do you want to put it on the team slide? Yep. Do you want to put it on the team slide so I can talk about the team? I'm not sure. Wesley's a geography guy. I failed geography in high school, so I'm not sure. No, that's actually Bosnia. No, Croatia's mostly Catholic. Actually, when I say mostly, like 99.9%, like to be Croatian is to be Catholic. There is very few Christians in Croatia. There is a Baptist church in town that has maybe like 20 to 30 people, and that's about as large as you get for a Christian church. So this is our team. I'll talk about this now. Usually Wesley does, but you guys get me now. So this is our team. Right here is Sergey, and that's Jelka on this side. They are our Croatian national workers, which is very helpful because they speak the language. So, and then Annie and Lim on the other side, they also speak the language, but just not as fluently as the Croatian workers. Andy is our team leader, and Lim is his wife, and they've been working all together for over 10 years in the village. So when they first got to the village, they started wanting to reach the adults, just like most ministries do. And then they realized something very quickly. The Roma people have clans among themselves, and that makes it really hard when a already segregated community has their own segregations. So they would try to get together with each other for Bible studies, and it didn't work. It kept failing, and they were trying to figure out why, and it's because of the clans. So if you're a part of a clan and you don't like a different clan, none of your family is allowed to even go near that other clan. It makes it very hard to get people together to hear the gospel. So what they did is they said, well, you know what, we'll start with the kids, because the kids don't care about the clans. Kids will play with any kids. So they did kids for over 10 years, and now those kids are young adults, and they get together. They don't pay any mind to the clans now. And they're like, I want to say they're between like 14 and 18 are their oldest ones now, and they come together. So it's really the last 10 years that have broken down barriers in the Roma village, doing it that way. I think I'm going to do this whole thing by myself. That's fine. Yep, so these are the different ministries they do. The Maltese Club is the younger one. It's just like what you would have for Bible Club kids. Clement Clubs is basically their youth group. It's just it's a little younger version than our youth group in America, because in the Roma village, they get married about 14 and 15 years old and start having kids. So when they're 14 and 15 and having kids, they're not wanting to come to a youth group anymore. They're like, we're too old and mature for this. So it's a little bit younger of a youth group, but that's what those are. And then one of my favorites is their school preparation classes. Most of the Roma kids don't make it through elementary school because it's in Croatian. And the Croatians take the Roma kids and they put them in special education classes. Then they don't like being treated like special education kids, and then they just fail. So it's a horrible system that is getting better. It is with them joining the EU. The EU told Croatia they had to stop doing that. They said you can't treat the Roma kids like they're not the same as Croatians. You have to include them, which is really good because now the Roma kids have a chance. And we met some very smart Roma kids. You know, they're not any less smart than Croatian kids. They just need the chance. You know, we met one girl who, she flunked first grade 5 times. And that's it. That was all, you know, she was done. I mean, I can't really blame her because, you know, who's going to try again for a 6th time? And that was back then when that's what they were doing. So now the kids are making it through school, but the team helps with that. The team takes them as preschoolers and they go, okay, we're going to teach you how to sit still. We're going to teach you how to listen when the teacher talks to you. We're going to teach you all this before you get into kindergarten. So that way they have just a little bit more of a chance to make it. Their parents don't do that with them. They don't prepare them. When I was a kid, my parents taught me my ABCs. These parents are not involved. They're not. The Roma kids, they roam free all day long. There is no parental supervision. It probably has something to do with their parents being 14. But there's not. It's a very different culture from here. That's actually one of our concerns with taking kids over there. It's very different. The kids are very rough, and they're miles from home at 2-3 years old is when they start roaming the neighborhood, and nobody is watching them. I don't think that's good. Oh, it is good. Okay. So anyways, it is a very different culture. It is like stepping into another world when you enter the Roma village, because you have this very modern society in Croatia and Europe, and you really don't think of a completely different people group, but it is. Oh, that's good. If it does play, this is Roma music. Right here. Anyways, it was Roma music. It's Roma Christian music from a different village that has Christians there. It's because of language and because they put her in special education classes. So it was both. They treated her differently. They treat them like they're dumb instead of not knowing the language and teaching them the language. No, they're not treated well. The Roma people are not allowed to get jobs in town. They're not allowed to rent apartments in town. It's very separate.
All right, there we go.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
Great, awesome. It worked. Sweet. So so that's a little bit of what our village is going to look like. That is about 2/3 of it. So we are missing 1/3 of our village, and like Rebekah said earlier, it's because of they just don't want their faces to be shown or their houses to be shown. Because a lot of them live in tarps and just with no roofs over their head or anything, especially since they're squatting. So that's a little bit just about our village and what we're going to be at. So you can go ahead here. If you stay on that slideshow, you just keep on going. I'll just tell you. Yeah, but you just go back to view. And, sorry guys.
We do have one more video. If it plays, it'd be great. If not, it's okay. But there's actually been a few things happening since we've been there since our vision trip that's been really encouraging. The ministry center, they had just talked about it when we were there visiting. They said, we'd like to have a place we can do ministry indoors. Ministry was always outside in their front yard or in their little living room that it held like 2 couches and that's it. It was very small. So they were kind of squeezing all the kids in there to do ministry or having it outside. And so they just were dreaming about it. Like, we'd love to build a ministry center. We can hold a church one day, hold our Bible studies, all that kind of stuff. And since then, they have built it, and it is almost completely done. It just has some very cosmetic things that need done, but the structure, everything is done, which is very exciting. So that would be the next video if it plays. If not, it's not nearly as important. But what was that? Hospital care? We will be doing Croatian health care. So we will have, Croatia has health care. What was your question? Yep, it is right in the front, which is great. So our team leaders, they bought land right in the front of the village, which is really the only place you can buy land because most of it, like we said, is illegal. So they bought it right in the front. So the kids come all the way from down the road from 3 miles, and they come all the way there to do it. They love it. Most of it. It was originally government forest. They moved in, tore the whole forest down, the Roma people, and claimed it as their own. The government kind of views it as theirs now. They're like, you guys have lived here, it's basically yours, so we'll throw in a few roads. And if you saw there was a basketball court, the government was like, well, we'll build that for you, you're here, we might as well accept the fact that you're here. So, yep, so the government came in and did that. And like I said, the EU is actually forcing a lot of this. It wasn't all Croatia's idea. The EU has really stepped in for the Roma people because I don't know how many of you know, but gypsies and Roma people are all across Europe. So the EU is trying to take care of that in every country.
Yeah, what's up? So for work, what they do is that in Croatia, they do a lot of freelance construction. If there's people they know, a lot of them though, have to go outside of Croatia to Germany and Austria and Hungary to go do construction work and then bring back money for their family. And what's so interesting about their culture is that they're, like Rebekah said, they're clans, and so they're very family-like. And so they marry within the clans, within the family, and just their culture. And so them being apart from their family for that long, for months, is it's hard for them. And so it's very sad to see that in Croatia, that they have to go outside to find work.
It's very normal for the fathers to be gone for 3 to 4 months at a time, making money, and then they come back until they run out, and then they leave.
So this next video is our team leader, Andy. And like Rebekah just said, they just built a ministry center on their property. And so here's just a tour of it and
I am Andy Warner,
of what's going on there.
The camera is Lynn Warner. And behind us is what we call the big house of our ministry center. We've been ministering here in this Roma village for about 12 years. And one of our big dreams was always to have our own place here. And it's with great thanks that we can announce that we are very close to being done. A little more work on the inside, and then we have the outside facade. It's incredible to think that back in 2016, this plot of land was really nothing but weeds. And we had a dream, and we knocked on a neighbor's door, and we offered to buy the land, and we did. And from that time, we've been constantly building and improving the land by putting a fence in, by putting in a covered patio, and then we built a small house in the back where Lim and I currently live, and then the big project, which was the big house, and that the big house itself is really almost done. It's very, very exciting, and we're very thankful for that.
This is our small ministry room and for small ministry gathering, and this office, and also guest room for visiting missionaries. And recently we had our women Bible studies in this room with Anna and Stana, and it's been so good to have our own place to do that.
And this is our big ministry room, we call it. It's about 50 square meters, and it's where we have larger ministries, where we hope to have church gatherings in the future. So as I mentioned, this is the room where we have our larger ministries, and we've had many, many clubs here. We've had big events for carnivals. We've hosted short-term missionaries. We've even hosted the Roma Bible School, who came here for a weekend of teaching and fellowship. It was really nice. And as you can see, it's pretty much equipped. So we've been able to buy projector, nice fan, air conditioner, new couches that also provide a place for people to sleep if needed, and new chairs. And we are really blessed to have this room, and we pray that it will be used greatly by God in the future. And this is the hallway of the ministry area, the most recent part to be completed on the inside. And obviously through here we access all of the rooms of the ministry area. And behind me is a storage closet that we desperately need, and we store things in there. And we have access up into the attic through a little trap door, and up in the attic we store many things. And additionally, we have a full bath that is dedicated just for ministry when we have the kids here, or when we have visiting missionaries or visiting workers. And then through this door over here, if you follow me, this is the divider between the ministry area and the living area through one door. And this is our living area. This is where, in the beginning, Lim and I will live. After that, whomever takes residence here in the ministry center. As you can see, this is not finished, although we're very close. We have the drywall up, we have the ceiling, we have the electricity, and we are currently looking to finish the floors and paint the walls and put doors on, which will really complete the interior of the ministry center. So in the living area, this space over here will be our dining room. And over here, if you can follow me a little bit, this will be the kitchen. And behind the camera, which you'll see in pictures, will be a bedroom and a living room. And I am personally very excited to be able to live here and have a little bit of space, where we've been living in a very cozy little cottage for 3 years now.
So that living area that they were talking about will most likely be our home for the first few weeks until we find a house to rent. And this video was taken this summer, so those pictures that they added, our team just updated. So that's why some of it looked a little older, but they just added those new photos in this week to give you guys an updated look.
Can you just click to the next slide real quick? It's not doing anything. It should be in the bottom left, if you can get that. Well, it's all right, though. So, sure, that's okay. And you can go back to the books of Ludari.
It wouldn't be a missions presentation without hiccups.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's even more unique is that not just the ministry center just happened, and so last year, 2022, we were support raising at the time, and we got an update from our team, and they just didn't tell us about this, but they also told us that Sergey, who's the Croatian guy on our team, he's been working with a separate translation team with Pioneers and like with Whitcliffe and others, and they created a whole entire alphabet for the Ludari language. And so what the Ludari language is very unique, like Rebecca said earlier, is that this is the only village that speak it. It's about 2,000 people, and up to last year, there was no alphabet and nothing written in their language at all. Interesting, right? It was 2022. They have phones, they have internet, they have all that, but no alphabet and nothing written until last year. And so they're like, hey, Wes, we created an alphabet, which they used the whole entire Croatian alphabet and added only one letter to it, because the young kids in the Roma village can speak, are learning how to read Croatian in schools. And so that's how they're able to do that. And it's like, hey, Wes, we just not just create an alphabet, but we translate it into the book of Luke and 50 Bible events. And so this right here, the book of Luke, is also on the table. You guys can take a look. Is the first and right now only thing ever written in their language. But isn't that awesome, though? Is that part of the Bible is written in their language? It's amazing. Their heart language. And it's just, it's really cool to see what God's doing. So he was like, hey, Wes, do you want to come out help? You want to help pass it out? I'm like, of course. Why not? Why not go help pass that out? And so you can see if this works now. Here we go. There we go. Perfect. So when I went over there, as you can see, there's a ministry center right there. When I went over there, it would look nothing like it does now, like you guys saw in the video. It was very bare, so I got to tested out the new bathroom, but there was no hot water, so that was nice. And they actually saved the driveway for me to do by myself, shovel those rocks for the driveway. So that was fun. But yeah, so that's what I got to do while I was over there for a little over a week. And I also, while I was there, I was able to teach a Clemma Club, which is their young adults club. And so we had 3 clubs. We had about 50 to 60 teens, and it was really awesome. We got to teach about Acts 2 and the coming of of tongues and just the Pentecost and all that. And it was really neat because none of them understood me. It was my first time being translated into Croatian. And so it was really cool. Got to use an example of, it'd be so cool if I could speak your language right now, right? They're like, yeah. And so it was really neat. It was really cool. And so I was able to do that. And so like she said, or like Rebecca said earlier, it's just like a normal youth group. We play games, give them something to eat, and yeah, they enjoy it. And so what's even more unique is that you might have saw in the Roma Village video that in the middle of it is a basketball court and soccer court that the government built, right? It may be interesting. Even though they live on government property, they don't want them to move somewhere else. So like, hey, you know what? We'll just build some facilities for you guys to enjoy. And so this is what they built. And so I went over there because I'm a big sports guy, and hopefully while I'm over there, I'll be able to do a sports ministry, which is nothing right now going on there. So that's really what hopefully I'll be able to start up when I get over there. And so I go over there. They play basketball and soccer. And I was like, hey, you know what? I love basketball. And so why not go down there and play for a little bit? So I did. About 15 minutes into it, I come to find out that the Roma kids are really bad at basketball. Really bad. But they're like, hey, Ves. So they don't have a W in their language in Croatian. So they say Ves. It'll be Ves with a V, so Ves. It's like, Ves, do you want to play football? And just some of the people there, some of the kids only know a little bit of English because of TikTok. And it's not that good. And so they go, Ves, you want to play some football? I'm like, what, American football? Yeah, because that was my sport here. American football was. And so they're like, no, soccer. I'm like, I figured. But I was like, hey, you know what, though? I think I could take them. They're middle school, high school. I played soccer in 2nd grade. I think I would do great in it. So we're playing along about an hour in. I thought I was keeping up pretty well. And I had this little kid, about this big, come up to me. And he's like, Ves, I see that you're tired now. You can go home. I was like, great. I guess I'm not that good at soccer. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to humble myself, and I'll do better next time. So I was pretty humbled by that situation. But that was really cool. So I'm excited to go back and play with them, which I have not been practicing, so I can't really say I'll be better at that. But then the last thing I got to do while I was over there recently was pass out the book of Luke, the main point. And so what we did was there's Sergey and Lim right there, but we went to, at the end of it, we went to over 200 different families. And what they did is that Sergey went up to them, explained what he's been doing for the past 5 years of the translation, and they played an audible clip. And so what's unique is that about middle age to the older generation do not know how to read at all. And so therefore, if they're not able to read, they can listen to it on YouTube. Really cool what the internet can do now, right? And so that's what we explained to them, and a lot of them were very excited. They're like, oh, man. And at the end of it, we asked them, hey, would you be interested in possibly doing a Bible study or something like that? And they're like, yes, of course. But in Croatian and Roma culture, yes is always polite. As it doesn't necessarily mean it, though, that they mean it. And so, which is good and sad all at the same time. So going on to here. And so, yeah, here's just a couple pictures of what we did with them. And then right here was really cool. So I don't know if you caught in the last video about the tour of the ministry center, but this girl in the yellow right here, her name is Stana, and she was part of the Roma Bible study that our Lim was talking about. And so we went to her house, and we explained what we were doing. And Stana has been part of the translation process, hearing how Ludari sounds and everything, but this is her first time actually seeing it written down. And she was so excited, very excited. So she sat down, but she realized she couldn't read it because she doesn't know how to read. So she called her daughter over there, Jelana, who is in Croatian school and learning how to read. She opens up the book of Luke and starts to read it out of her own heart language. That was the first time I got to experience someone reading their own language ever. I mean, just imagine English never being written down until last year. This is crazy, right? But it's so cool and awesome to see what God's doing over there in that village. And so since then they've been incorporating the Ludari into the Bible lessons and speaking from the book of Luke in those Clemma and Maldives clubs, and it's been really neat. And so this picture right here is right after we talked to them. We went back outside to the rest of their family, and they were very interested as well in their surgery. They're explaining how to read it, and they were very excited as well. And so that was just one quick, just little thing what's been going on, or how God's been impacting them right now. But even now, it's been even more cool, is that they recently talked to us and said, Stana has come out and said, hey, I want to be baptized. Like, I believe in your God. And so which is great, because they've been there for over 10 years, and they can count maybe about 3 or 4 believers in the village, if that. It's a long process. It's a long work. But through that, a lot of the women have been very interested in doing Bible studies. And so
Stana's been bringing a different woman with her to every Bible study she comes to. So now more women, and now they just said some men have become interested. So they actually have a small group of adults that are coming to Bible studies, which sounds 4 or 5 adults here would be a very, very small Bible study. For them, that's amazing, because they've never had that amount of people, adults, that want to come together. Only kids.
Yeah, and so right now, what they're really thinking is like, man, how do we transition this Bible study into a church? And so that's the question they're asking themselves right now, and they're praying about, because they're at the point of where they want to start really working with the adults, and they don't want to forget about the kids and the children and the teens. And they're like, hey, when are you guys coming? So we can take that over, and just to help them out with that. And we're like, hey, next year. And so or until we raise our financial support.
There's a spark started with the adults now, and it's slowly growing, but it's amazing to see. And their kids ministry, I mean, as you saw in the pictures, it's blooming. It's great. It's steady. It's strong. It doesn't need to be neglected. It just needs to keep going. There's almost 200 kids that come to it regularly. They come in small groups, but they do have almost 200 that come. So the adults is where they need to be reached next.
Yeah, and so what we've been doing is we've been going over to churches. We've been going to the churches, individuals, families who are willing just to hear what God's doing with the Roma people, and just seeing if they want to partner with us in prayer or financial support so we can head over there. And so right now we have to get 100% of our monthly goal to head over there full-time. If not, we can't. And right now we were at 91% about a month ago, but then we found out that insurance went up. So we're back at 86%, which is, it's kind of a bummer, but God's in control, and he's got this, though. So that's where we're at right now. We're at 86. We're hoping to leave in May of next year after the baby's born. But that's if we get 100% of our monthly goal. So, yeah.
So we just want to say we do have newsletter signups in the back. If you would like to get our newsletter, if you'd like to hear more, just go ahead and put your email down or any information you want to, and feel free to take a prayer card. We need as much prayer as we can get. As you saw, this is a very different culture that we're going to be stepping into. It's nice that we get to cheat a little bit by joining this team. They have broken down so many barriers that would take us years to do on our own. So we know that this is a great advantage to have them. And God is doing so much over there, and we just are really excited to be a part of it. And we also just wanted, go ahead. We wanted to open up to any questions, if anybody had questions that we can.
Or any more questions.
Geography ones, I'm sorry, I'm not good at it. Go ahead. So 2 of them are. The couple, Sergey and Zhelka, are Croatians. Zhelka is from that town that we're going to be in, Slavonsky Road, and Sergey is from Sisak, like 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Yes, so Zhelka was a part of the...
Yeah, so there's a there's a Baptist church literally 10 minutes from this Roma village, and none of them want to go to the Roma gypsies. They're like, hey, glad you guys are going, go for it. So, but yes, there is a Baptist church within, there's only about 20 people That's on the average of Protestant Christian church within Croatia.
And Sergey's hometown, Sisak, they actually have a Roma village that's bigger. They have over 2,500 people there, and they've been asking our team, when are you going to come do ministry in our village? We would like to have this. We would like Bible studies. And they're like, we have our hands full with this one. So they've mentioned us in the future, thinking about going to that village next. So they are desperate. So if anybody wants to go to CSOC, let us know, because they are asking for Bible studies.
And so, we just want to say thank you guys so much for today. We really appreciate it. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We really appreciate you guys coming out and just having us to come here to speak our ministry and our hearts for the Roma people. So if you guys do have any more questions, we'll be in the back.
Oh, well, do we have time, or we need to cut it
I don't know
out?
if you have any time or not, but I know it's pretty late. Okay. So if you guys have any questions, talk to us in the back. And if you are interested at all, and we can't talk to you about it at all, you can go to our website, it's davies2croatia.com. It is on the back of our prayer card. Please take one. We need a lot of prayer support
Yes.
as much as financial support too. So again, thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day. I got you. I was hoping you yelled.
Just a couple of quick announcements before we go home tonight. If you were in Betsy Wambach's workshop or seminar this morning, you know how not to walk by a missionary table. You don't go. So wipe them out of all their literature. Take all the prayer cards. Engage them in conversation. If you were there this morning, you know the questions to ask them. So let me just remind you that now's a great time to practice. On the side table over under this basketball hoop, there are the handouts from this weekend. Carmen's handouts from last night, Betsy's handouts from this morning. There are a couple on missionary attrition, including a brand new one that you haven't seen yet called The Single Reason Most Missionaries Don't Last on the Field. It's a great handout, so avail yourselves of those. I'm told by the ladies in the kitchen that there is leftover food. There are pre-packaged containers that are yours to take home for any donation. So if you've got 50 cents, if you've got $1, slip it in the donation cans, and they will give you a container of food. So let me remind you what happens tomorrow at 9:30. We'll have Janet McClanahan in the adult Sunday school class. You're off the hook, Paul. So remember that. You're ready for next week. Okay. We'll have Rennie Vance in the children's class. We'll have Michael and Abby Lodge in the morning service. And tomorrow is Faith Promise Day. So be in prayer about that. That's all I've got before I close in prayer. Is there anything else that absolutely needs to be said? Yep. And our unsung hero at the back of the room is always not the Wizard of Oz, but David Gable pulling the strings and turning the levers. So, well, feel free to linger. I know you've been here a while, but feel free to talk to our missionary guests and enjoy each other and get a container of food on your way out. So let's pray. Lord Jesus, thank you that you are indeed and still in the business of taking the gospel to the ends of the earth. We ask that you affirm Rebekah and Wesley as they prepare to do that in the land of Croatia with the Roma people. It's going to be a tough soil to till. Give them encouragement, give them affirmation along the way, help them to see the fruit of their labor, and help us to be found faithful in keeping them upheld in prayer. So help us to be faithful partners with them. Thank you for the fellowship of tonight, for the food, for many who participated in making this evening happen. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.